Let's talk about salary caps in baseball. Seems like a timely topic. The National League instituted one on January 15, limiting each team to $11,000 per month on player payroll. The details were reported in the New York Sun. NL owners, meeting at the Waldorf-Astoria hotel, first considered a proposal from the Dodgers owner of a $9,000 per month, per team cap. The ensuing negotiations were turbulent. In the end, representatives from only two teams, the Giants and Cubs, did not vote to approve the final $11,000 figure. It's the first team-wide salary cap in league history, a cap on individual player salaries disintegrated decades ago. One key detail: this all happened a century ago, on January 15, 1919. I'm not sure what we've learned in the last 100 years when it comes to the economics of professional sports. The annual winter frenzy to sign the best free agents is resembling the sack race at Homer Simpson's company picnic. If everyone moves slowly enough, maybe the rich old miser can win. Kidding aside, the players are either demanding too much or the owners are offering free agents too little. It depends on who you ask. Either way, this feels different, and it doesn't make sense on the surface when, historically, winning matters a great deal to an MLB owner's bottom line. Sign up for Home Turf and get exclusive stories every SoCal sports fan must read, sent daily. Subscribe here. JC. Bradbury is sure what we've learned in the last 100 years. He's a professor at Kennesaw State University in Atlanta and the author of The Baseball Economist, The Real Game Exposed. More recently, Bradbury studied the four major North American sports leagues, MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL, for insights into how teams derive their revenue. UCLA football coach Red Sanders is famous for his claim that winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. But is that true for how owners pad their bottom line? In a word, no. In a study published in this month's issue of Economic Inquiry, Bradbury identified a handful of revenue indicators and compared their impact across the various leagues. The size of the team's market matters. The larger the local population, the larger the revenue. The age of your stadium matters too. Newer is better, at least for a few years after the venue opens. If your team plays in a two-sport market, it will negatively impact revenue for an NFL or NBA team, but not in the NHL or MLB. Funny thing about winning, it matters to a degree in every sport except the NFL, where league-wide revenues are shared liberally whether a team goes 16-0 or 0-16. Of the other three leagues, winning is correlated most strongly to revenues in Major League Baseball. If you own an MLB team, according to Bradbury, you should be racing to build the best team every offseason faster than your NBA or NHL brethren. And if you're an MLB owner whose team is in contention for the postseason, your revenue earning potential only looks brighter. Postseason participation is associated with increased revenue in all leagues except the NFL. Bradbury found increasing revenue by $3.9 million in the NHL, $5 million in MLB, and $7 million in the NBA. The difference between making or missing the postseason meant more for an MLB team's bottom line than playing in a market with a million more people. Bradbury called revenue data from 2006 to 15 using Forbes, which has drawn criticism from owners for its lack of accuracy. In a telephone interview, Bradbury acknowledged that even Forbes can't be certain of every privately held team's profit margin down to the dollar. What they're trying to do is generate a general comparison across all teams, he said. Forbes every year puts out the business of for all four major sports leagues. MLS as well. This data, when I first saw it, I was skeptical of it. But they interview teams, look at how their business model is structured, and come up with pretty reasonable estimates of the revenue teams might be earning. I was quite surprised to see how well winning correlated with their revenue numbers. It seems they're onto something. Winning is one thing fans consistently pay to see, regardless of the sport, regardless of the market, Bradbury learned. Since wins are typically generated by the most talented players, it's odd to see several marquee names, and more than 100 major league free agents in all, without jobs. Only a month remains before spring training camps open. So what changed? Bradbury has written extensively about the effects of MLB selling a portion of BAMTech to the Disney Corporation. That reportedly added more than $2.5 billion to the league's coffers in the last 3 years. Without knowing exactly when and how major league teams received their share of the BAMTech sale dividends, Bradbury said it's hard to know when that revenue stream, which has nothing to do with putting a winning product on the field, will cease to pad teams' revenues. Among other secondary factors, Bradbury's research suggests that player salaries reflect the broader devaluation of labor in the hospitality and leisure industry since 1987. Within a context that broad, the salary-suppressing effects of the luxury tax and BAMTech revenue could be mere blips on baseball's economic radar. After all, there was a time when teams could only spend $11,000 per month on player salaries. In limited cases, Bradbury said there is incentive for even an MLB owner to intentionally tank for a season. Take the Angels, for example. They haven't won a playoff game this decade, yet have spent competitively in free agency. Consider they have the best player in the league, and it's really not controversial, Bradbury said. If you're in this area when you're not doing well, it's probably better to shed those big contracts, rebuild your organization, because where you're going to make more money is if you win more games. Simply, if your team is so bad, buying 1 or 2 more players may generate more revenue, but you have to pay a whole bunch more than ticket sales, more than revenue. Hope is difficult to quantify. Yet hope is what our favorite teams sell. It is arguably sports' primary product. If any hope can be gleaned from Bradbury's equations, it's this: the economic structure of baseball incentivizes winning in a normal year more than any major team sport in North America. Another normal year shouldn't be too much to hope for.